that's us leaving Craobh. The wind has completely gone, so we're currently motoring, and we're heading back for Tobermory. And we've got to get back home either Saturday or Sunday, so it's time to turn around and start a slower process, but to get back to Craobh Marina. We're back in Tobermory, and we've got a couple. There's a clipper, we call it Blue Clipper, over there, and we've got this Dutch square rigger, Aphrodite, yes, that's what. She looks quite spectacular, really. And we've got the Hebridean Whale Dolphin Trust over there. It's a dog walk along the path to Aris Park. The dog's enjoying a bit of freedom off lead. Good for sniffs. It's the old coal pier. We used to, coal pier, fish pier. We used to have to come ashore in the dinghy at high water many years ago when we anchored out in the bay. There's the pontoons over there. Well, we've left Tobermory, and that's us heading back down the Sound of Mull now. Not much wind, but there's enough to fill our Spinnaker quite nicely. So we're just cruising down here at 4.3 knots. Hopefully the camera can pick this up, but there's a big red stripe down the water there, which must be weed or algae or something. But it's just a stripe going right along there. I've not seen that before. Certainly not in somewhere as open as the Sound is. Well, that's us further down the Sound. As you can see, we've had to change from the Spinnaker to the Genoa because the wind got just a bit too much for the Spinnaker. And that's us coming to the bend in the Sound of Mull. And up ahead you can see the fish farm. It's got some ship there, presumably bringing or taking away fish or bringing in food. Having set off and virtually no wind, that's us, you say 20 knots now, and white horses. So, yeah, where's this come from? That's us coming into Loch Aline. Can't really see the entrance very easily from this direction, but it's just, it will open up soon. That's us out walking along the path towards Oh, just out taking the dogs for a walk along the side of the loch, which is over there. I've enjoyed watching water tumbling over rocks like this. I guess you could call it a waterfall, but it's more like a stream tumbling. There's a lot of frogs around here because every year we come there are a lot of tadpoles, and the pond, or it's not a pond actually, it's a puddle at the side of the road. Not sure if they will survive. Not sure if they'll survive. So that's us heading down towards Duart Point, which you can see in the distance. There's a strong tide running around that, and we are picking up the last of the ebb, which hopefully will carry us round. Then we've got a good 6 hours or so to get across the Firth of Lorne, so we'll probably be sitting on a mooring in Easdale waiting for the tide to change to get us back through Cuan Sound and back to home marina. There's the main ferry from Oban to Mull. It comes in at the port of Craobh, which you can just see on the right. So it's turning in and slowing down. And you can see quite a queue of cars waiting for it over there. Lovely visibility today, and so I'm taking this photograph looking up Loch Aline towards Fort William, and one of these mountains, presumably one that still has its head in the clouds, is Ben Nevis. But very picturesque. And that's also up beyond Fort William, that's the Great Glen, with that deep gouge right across Scotland that goes up all the way up to Inverness. Has had scaffolding around it for the last almost decade, I think, but the scaffolding itself is moving around, so I think they must be doing some repointing and refurbishment, etc. It's obviously just taking a long time, but when we 2-3 years ago the scaffolding was on the left hand side there in the face, but you can just see it sitting on top of a rocky outcrop, so it's pretty high up for anybody that's on that scaffolding working away. Just pan the camera around, and there's a point, there's a lookout, I don't know what you call it, a lookout building on the point, and beyond that is where we're going, in those hills in the distance. That's back onto the mainland, and Sound of Flada, and round Easdale, Sound of Flada and Cuan Sound, which will take us back, but we'll be fighting the tide across there. Shouldn't be too strong at the moment, but we might have a knot and a half or 2 knots against us. It's us travelling along the Mull shore. We're slowly leaving it. It will bend round after this point a bit. We'll just start diverging completely. In the distance there, the Craobh Haven. The taller peak is Craobh, and the islands in front of it are Big Inch and Little Inch. And Inch in Gaelic means island, so it's sounds all quite exotic, but when you translate it, it's very plain. So that's us in Easdale now. We came down so quickly across the Firth of Lorne that we've got a couple of hours or so to go before the tide changes. Now we're going through the Sound that's just literally behind the mast of that boat. But Easdale itself's got a lovely history. It was the slate quarries. They're now disused, but you can see the pier and a lot of the infrastructure has been made with slate. And there's the quarries, or part of the quarry itself. And over behind this wall, there's a huge, deep, well, after deeper than 60-metre quarry that's now flooded. This, where we're anchored, is probably flooded as well, because the quarry was also, or the slate was also quarried over here. So we're in this little channel. What I'm showing you now is actually an island, and that's why there's this little ferry that's bombing backwards and forwards between the island and the mainland. But Easdale itself is on the island of Seal, and to get to that is the main road out of Oban, to the south of Oban, and across a bridge. They call it the bridge over the Atlantic, but it's the Atlantic at that point's about a similar width to a small stream. But anyway, it's the island of Seal is a great tourist place these days, and I think most of the houses here are either rental or summer houses, although there will be some retirees and things. I don't think there's too much activity going on in terms of work these days, but very, very pretty. So here the pier, which is, you can see the end of it is left there, but there's nothing going out. This was where the slate was loaded onto ships to take up to Glasgow for all the housing explosion that was going on up there in the last century and a half. A lot of there are other slate quarries out in the Sound of Flada as well, so a lot of the rock around here is in Glasgow. Yes, these holes are now all in Glasgow. Well, that's us rowing ashore while we wait. Give the dogs a bit of a leg stretch. I'm intrigued as to why there are quite so many wheelbarrows lying on the grass outside here. It's obviously a specific reason, and I'm guessing every family has one, but no idea what the reason might be. So, lots and lots of the slate quarry workers' houses on this side, on this island as well. Very, very picturesque. So the dry stone walling is very, very easy here, and you can make your own little shed out of the local stone as well. That would be a pretty decent shed, I would have thought. Well, there's the local stone, what's left of it, on the beach on the western side, and we're looking over at the cliffs of Mull in the background. So this is the local stone, the slate. I'm guessing this is all slate waste that's been left lying around. What a vista we have here. I'm just going to scan right the way around. That's looking up to the north. Inch Island there, with a little fishing boat off it, and Mull behind. And that's all Mull out there, out towards the Ross, just in the distance. That's us, must be west now, so that's America over there. If you can see it, you can wave. Garvalach Islands, and scanning round where, well, I think, as I said, I think they're the Black Isles, Ilan Do and Scarborough behind it, but in the background over there is Jura, on the west coast of Jura, going down there, and the Sound of Mull, and carrying on right round Cuan Sound down there, and we'll carry right on. We've got Easdale just behind that lump of rock on the left hand side. Fabulous.
Was enclosed the storm near the park.
Right.
But you can see how far they've gone.
So that's very deep in there, and they kept quarrying and quarrying. You can see down some steep slopes down there underwater. And as I say, on the other side, the pilot book says that they got down to 60 metres and couldn't get the bottom, and B, didn't have any more rope to try and measure it. So more than 60 metres deep, and this is probably the same.
Bit of popular diving.
Yeah, you can see this is the same feature, but from a different angle. You can see the ramps and stuff that were going down to the bottom. What I don't know if you heard Andrew when I was filming the last time, but this was being quarried. This was really what caused the quarry to stop, because it was going right out towards the sea, and a large storm came in and flooded this. And I don't know if you can see, but this is a pond, it's a pool, it's completely separate from the sea at the moment. But it must have been quite a fierce storm to have done this. Around all these quarries are these little huts, and because there's no windows or anything, we believe that these were probably pump stations. Here's one that's withstood the test of time a bit more than some of the others, and it's been pumping out this particular hole. Now there's no way that the sea would have reached in here, so it's obviously just fresh rainwater. It must be fresh rainwater in there, or else it's been seeping through the rock. I don't know how porous the slate actually is. Somebody could possibly tell me. And on the other side there's another pond, but we can see that's open to the sea over in that far corner. So that has filled, and they've got a wall there, so I'm guessing that this was breached sometime and they built the wall up to stop the beach collapsing into it or something. Just some more of the little houses here, beautifully maintained and grass cut, and as I say, I'm not sure whether they're all holiday lets or how many people actually live here permanently, but very, very pretty. Farewell to Easdale, and we'll be approaching Cuan Sound soon. Go underneath, between and underneath the pylons here. Yeah, we'll get that. There's a ferry from the island of Seal across to the island of Lynn. It's crossing there. You can see the discoloration in the water because the tide is pushing us through this now, and so far we've got a knot and a half of tide underneath us, taking our overall speed up to about 7.5 knots. See, we are being buffeted a bit, but we've got enough way on that we've still got the steering. But you can just see the water boiling around us, the tide. A bit of a bend here, not quite 180 degrees, but it goes right round the corner, and up ahead you can see a yellow post which is marking a rocky island have to miss. But the tide will help us push past that. That's it, more disturbances. We're going around the corner. Just the beach off the north of the marina, and just a spectacular sunset. And there we are, back in our bath, and just a bit of tidying up to do at the end of the holiday.